Hello and welcome to Geology Concepts. This is the second part of the month of July current affairs, where we will be discussing topics from security, environment, science and tech, and some of the cultural aspects. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So, the first update on the security part is the successful test fire of Rudram-1 anti-radiation missile by DRDO, right? So this is the first time that the first indigenous anti-radiation missile Rudram-1 was test fired. It is an air-to-surface missile which is developed by DRDO for the Indian Air Force. Right. Now let's talk about some of its important features. Now the launch platform that was used to fire this Rudram-1 missile was Sukhoi M30 MKI fighter jets. It has an internal navigation system which is based on GPS navigation, which will allow it to accurately hit radiation emitting targets. Right. Now the range of this missile is very interesting. It can range from close targets of 500 meters to 15 kilometers, and it can hit radiation emitting targets within 250 kilometer range as well. Right. Now what is the significance? Now it will allow the Indian Air Force to conduct suppression of enemy air defense or SEAD operations, which are called, deep within the enemy territory. It will also help them neutralize critical air defense installations in the enemy territory. So Rudram-1 missile is also a part of your indigenous defense development initiatives, right? So defense manufacturing, which is the government is pushing for indigenous defense manufacturing. So Rudram-1 is an important step towards that. Now, there are many exercises in news recently. The first one is your Operation Nomadic Elephant, which is a joint military exercise between India and Mongolia, right? And this year it will be held in Meghalaya. Now there is exercise Maitri, which is a joint military exercise between India and Thailand. That was already conducted in Thailand. RIMPAC exercise is recently held in Hawaii this year. So it is world's largest international multilateral maritime exercise, and India also took part in it this year, right? There is exercise Freedom Aegis, which is a tripartite exercise between South Korea, US and Japan. Okay, and it took place in South Korea's southern island called Jeju. Then there is another exercise name called exercise Pitch Black, which was between Indian Air Force and contingent which reached Australia to participate in this exercise, and it is held every 2 years, and it is a multinational exercise, right? Now there is another exercise in news called exercise Sagar Kavach, and it is a indigenous exercise of India which is held in Andhra Pradesh coast recently, and who else take part in this? Indian Navy, Coast Guard, Marine, Police, Fisheries, Customs and other security agencies, which are mostly in the maritime domain, they have participated in this exercise. So we need to remember what is the name of the exercise and between whom those exercises are conducted, right? Now there is a significant news that is coming up, that dual tower solar thermal power plant has been developed by China recently, right? And it introduced world's first such kind of power plant in its Gansu province, which will enhance its energy efficiency by 24%, right? And this innovative plant has two 200-meter tall towers, right? What happens is, how it produces electricity is, it concentrates the sunlight onto the twin towers, and due to concentration of that sunlight, it generates a lot of heat, and that heat generates steam and drives turbine for electricity production. So that's how this dual tower solar thermal plant works, right? Now, how this is done? It is done through sun tracking mirrors, which automatically adjust itself by following the sun's movement, right? So the eastern tower is mostly concentrated in the morning, and the shifting western one will also be tracked by this sun tracking mirror. So throughout the day, they track the sun and absorb sunlight, so that they can capture most of the heat from the sun, and which actually is efficiently increasing the electricity production capacity by 24%, right? So this is about the dual solar tower solar thermal plant that is recently introduced by China. Now there is a news on fund for responding to loss and damage fund, right? Now the board for loss and damage fund decided to call the loss and damage fund as Fund to Respond Loss and Damage, right? FRLD. And they have also decided that Philippines will be hosting the board for this year, country for the board this year, right? Now, what is this FRLD or Fund to Respond to Loss and Damage? So, this fund was established in 27th session or COP27 or Conference of Parties 27th session of UNFCCC, which was held in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt in the year 2022. The purpose of this fund is to help the developing countries compensate for the losses and damages from natural disasters that are caused by climate change, right? And the fund will be provided by the developed countries, that is to an extent of $100 billion per year, right? And it also refers to the negative loss and damage is refers to the negative consequences that arise from unavoidable risks of climate change, like for example, rising sea levels, prolonged heat waves, desertification, ocean acidification, that and all, right? So to compensate for this kind of unavoidable risk, it is agreed that there will be a fund which is called a Loss and Damage Fund, that is now been renamed to Fund to Respond to Loss and Damage Fund, and this will be given by the developed economies to the developing countries, right? Now, recently the global summit on India AI, that is Global India AI Summit, has been hosted by India, and it was concluded recently, right? So India led the chair of GPI in 2024. What are the key outcomes of this summit? India emphasized that AI needs to be democratized and it has to be made accessible to all, right? And a new integrated partnership on AI was announced by OECD as well as GPI. So GPI stands for Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, and India has chaired this recently, and it is also an Indian initiative. The GPI members came to a consensus about the future vision of the GPI, right? How it will function in the future, and since they have come to a consensus, so they also recognized the New Delhi Declaration, which was the 2023 New Delhi Declaration of GPI Ministerial Summit, right? So that's all about the Global India AI Summit of 2024. Now, there is a new malware that is recently in news called Snowblind, which is targeting Android phones. Now, it is a malware that targets the Android devices and steals your banking as well as other sensitive information from your mobile. Now, what is a malware? Malware is nothing but a malicious software or any program or file for that matter, which is intentionally harmful to a computer, network, or any server, right? How does it attack any computer device? So what happens is it usually gets this virus, the users usually get this virus by downloading some malicious app that looks legitimate at the first instance, right? And that the malware, it repackages as an app to avoid detection, and also the misuses the accessibility features of the computer device and steal sensitive data, and it is done very remotely, right? So Snowblind malware, right? Now, recently the recent budget announced that the center will partner with private firms to develop Bharat Small Reactors, or BSRs. Now, why is this important? This is important because it makes a shift in India's nuclear policy, as the Atomic Energy Act of 1962 till now did not permit the private sector participation in nuclear energy generation, right? So BSRs, what are these BSRs? So BSRs are aligned with global trends where small modular reactors are gaining attention. So Bharat Small Reactor is a kind of a technology that is based along the line of these small modular reactors that are recently gaining attention, right? So this is based on India's existing pressurized heavy water reactor technology, and by implementing the BSRs, India is eyeing for increasing India's energy basket, the new nuclear energy basket of India, which currently contributes to only 1.6% of its energy, right? So India needs to improve its nuclear energy to meet the renewable energy target by 2030. So that's why the government is pushing for this BSRs, right? Now there are three types of reactors called, one is the conventional ones, or large conventional reactor, which can produce up to 700 megawatt of electricity. Then small modular reactors that we are talking about is up to 300 megawatt of electricity, and micro reactors up to 10 megawatt of electricity. Right. So these small modular reactors, they are advanced nuclear reactors, and 300 megawatt of electricity per unit can be achieved. Right. And there are many different design concepts, and they are at very in a different developmental stages as well. So this concept is currently in an evolving stage. Right. What are the significance? Because since these are small modular reactors, they need less fuel, right? And it's also save your construction time. Unlike the large conventional reactors, it also eliminates significantly the risk and potential for unsafe release of radioactive material into the environment, right? So that's why India is pushing for this Bharat small reactors in partnership with private firms. Now, that LiFi Technology has been recently in news because Ministry of Defence has funded a startup under Innovation for Defence Excellence, or IDEX, which will secure LiFi technology for the Indian defence sector. Right? What is IDEX? So IDEX is a initiative by India Ministry of Defence to foster innovation and technology in the development of defence as well as in the aerospace sector. Right? And it is managed by Defence Innovation Organization under the Ministry of Defence. Let's talk a bit about LiFi technology, or light fidelity technology. So it is a bidirectional wireless system which uses visible light instead of radio waves. So Wi-Fi uses radio waves, but the LiFi technology, it uses visible light spectrum, right? And they transmit data with the help of light emitting diodes, or LEDs. Now the LEDs, their on and off activities, they are coded binarily. So the on activity is given logical 1 and the switching off is given a logical 0. So that's how the data transmission happens between the through the LED lamps, right? And this has many applications like your aircrafts, hospitals, power plants, etc., where your electromagnetic radiation or the radio waves can cause interference and cause security issue. So LiFi technology is something that is very important in terms of its application in aircrafts, hospitals, and other strategic sectors where electromagnetic radiation can cause interference, right? Because it uses visible light. Moving on, let's talk about a bit about some of new addition to our UNESCO World Heritage Site. So Assam's Charaideo Moidam, which was recently officially inscribed into the World Heritage List, right? With that, India's total tally of World Heritage Site increased to 43, right? And this one is the first cultural UNESCO World Heritage Site that came from the Northeast India, right? Assam. So this is the first time any heritage site from Assam was included into UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site. So previously there were two heritage sites, but they were natural heritage site. One is Kaziranga, another is Manas National Park. So they were there, but they were natural heritage site. But recently a cultural heritage site was also added from Assam. Now they are located. This Charaideo Moidam are located in the eastern Assam, near your Potkai ranges, and they acted as the burial ground of the Ahom dynasty, right? And they are often compared with the Egyptian pyramids as well. And Moidam means home for spirit or burial grounds, and it symbolizes heaven-earth continuum, right? The architectural feature contains banyan trees, and the trees, banyan trees that are used for its coffins, and there are bark manuscripts which are planted, and also there is a water body which was created near the Moidam, right? And it has three particular features. One is your earthen mound, right, which was topped by a central shrine. So this is the earthen mound, you can see, and this is the central shrine. And then there are octagonal walls. The shrine has octagonal walls because it symbolizes Thai universe. And brick and stone vault. This one is a brick and stone vault with a grape tree, right? So these are the three important features of the Ahom Moidam. Now lastly, we need to talk a bit about our India's sports ecosystem. So recently in the Olympics that is held in Paris, India's rank fell from 48th in Tokyo in 2024 to 71st in Paris, right? So in that context, we need to understand what are the key government initiatives and bit about the Olympics itself. So the initiatives to promote sports ecosystem in India has been the government has been doing a lot about this. So the budget support has also increased almost twice from 2014-15 to 2023-24, right? So Khelo India program is the first program that was launched by the government of India for identification and development of athletes at the grassroots and elite levels as well, right? We have also talked about the Kirti program, that is the Khelo India Rising Talent Identification program for the school children ranging from 9 to 18 years. Similarly, there is mainstreaming, there are push for mainstreaming sports activities among youth, right? So it is also the Fit India movement was recently launched by Ministry of Sports, and as well as National Education Policy emphasizes on sports as an important activity in learning. Also, there is National Sports Development Fund scheme, which this scheme actually funds developmental group of athletes who are medal prospects for Olympic Games, and also these athletes will be sponsored by various government PSUs and corporate sectors as well. Now, there is another scheme called Target Olympic Podium Scheme or TOPS scheme, which is a comprehensive assistance program for funding, specialized equipment, international exposure, monthly allowance, top-tier coaching for India's top athletes. Okay. Now, then there is another scheme called One School, One Sport policy, which is mostly is an initiative that is done by Ministry of Defence, and it is implemented in Sainik school so that they can focus on at least one sport or one sporting discipline, and in every state there should be one. In every school there should be one sport policy that should be followed, and mostly in the Sainik schools. And also the use of technology has been increased in the sports infrastructure. So data analytics, artificial intelligence are being used to predict sports acumen as well as the caliber of the aspiring athletes, right? Now let's talk a bit about the Olympic Games. So this is the genesis of Olympic Games can be traced back to the 1896 Athens in Greece, where 14 nations competed in 9 sports, right? The motto of the Olympics is faster, higher and stronger, and the 5 interlocking rings that you see, they actually symbolize the 5 parts of the world in which Olympic movement prevails, right? And this year Paris 2024 included 4 additional sports such as breaking, this is the debut of Olympic, and sport climbing, skateboarding and surfing, right? And there is a international code of administration for sports, which is created in 1983 to deal with many legal problems that an athlete could face. Okay, so and it is also recognized by the Paris Convention that is signed by the presidents of the IOC, among others, right? So this is all about the Olympic infrastructure, India's push towards sports and its performance in the recently held Paris Olympics. So that's all for today. I hope you have gained some insightful knowledge from this video. We will meet again with August current affairs. For now, the July current affairs are finished. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.